It's now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission public hearing for Thursday, September the 5th, 2024. And as customary, we'll start with the pledge, and I'll ask Mr. Servon if he'll lead us in the pledge. Thank you, sir. And I would ask that if you have a phone or other kind of electronic device that you either silence it or put it on vibrate so it won't disrupt our meeting. Sarah, I'll now come to you for roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Present.
Mr. Servon?
Present.
Mrs. Karcher is absent. Mr. Galvary?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 6 present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, in front of you, you have the agenda for tonight's meeting. If there's no changes, deletions, or additions, I would ask for a motion to approve in a second.
So move. Second.
Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Galvary?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Davis?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to approve.
So you have 6 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
Thank you very much. Now I'll come back to you for the introduction and the public hearing instructions.
Thank you. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications and ordinances before the Planning Commission. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following tonight's hearing. For each application before the Commission, the chairman will introduce the application. Then the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Then those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed. No decision will be made by the Commission tonight. The Commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday, September 12th at 6 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the applications heard tonight. All information of record will be considered, and a common vote of 4 members of the Commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new public testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on August 7th, 2024 in the Delaware State News, and the Kent County Levy Court will hear these applications on Tuesday, September 24 at 7 p.m., unless tabled by the Commission or withdrawn prior to their hearing. The Levy Court will also meet in this room. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sarah. We'd also like to welcome tonight our new attorney, Mr. Townsend. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you very much. Now we'll get into the public hearing. The first application and title is C-24-04 Tower Co. Applicant is Terraco, 5000 Valley Stone Drive, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. Owners, B. Smith and Daughters Farms, LLC, 4849 Arthurville Road, Hartley, Delaware, 19953. The engineer is Qualitech Wireless, 200 North Warner Road, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, 19406. The comprehensive plan designation is low density. Present zoning district is AR. Relation to the growth zone is outside. Present use is agricultural. Proposed use is the same with a telecommunications tower. Levy Court district is Mr. Hertz, the 6th. School district is Smyrna. Fire district is Hartley, Station 51. It's 46.73 acres total. Project area is actually 10,000 plus or minus square feet. Is there someone here to represent this application? We'd ask you to come to the mic and give us your name, address, and if you're not an attorney, you'll have to be sworn or affirmed.
Mr. Chairman, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Give us your name. Then you can. Are you an attorney?
I am, sir. I am the attorney for Towerco on this application. My name is Nicholas Cucce, C-U-C-E.
Very good, sir. You won't have to be sworn in. So go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you very much. And just so the board, the commission knows, remotely I have with me a site acquisition consultant, a radio frequency engineer, and our professional engineer, should any questions arise that I'm not able to answer. But I will move forward at this time. As noted, and the property has been described by you, Mr. Chairman. Towerco is proposing a wireless facility installation on this property. Around the center of the property, if you will, there's a bit of a tree line, and we're looking to tuck the facility there next to the tree line. The facility will consist of a 195-foot tower monopole structure with a 4-foot lightning rod for a total height of 199 feet in conformance with the ordinance. This will be housed within a 50 by 50 fenced compound. It will be 7 feet in height with a barbed wire top. It will be flatted as to shield vision and sort of secure vision of the inner compound, which will contain equipment cabinets and a diesel generator. This was access to this facility will be off of an existing driveway with essentially a 100-foot extension up to the compound, and that would be off of Ford's Corner Road. This was initially an administrative review until there was some opposition noted by way of health and property values, which I will get into shortly. We, as the applicant, meet all of the ordinance requirements as it pertains to conditional use and telecommunications standards of section 205-73L paren 1 close paren. And we have attested to our compliance in our application to the planning department. So we received the staff recommendation dated September 5th, 2024, which generally recommends approval. We reviewed all the comments from the staff as well as outside agencies, and we are happy to note to the Planning Commission and the public that we either do comply or in the future will comply as this unfolds with all comments housed therein. I can go through the specific comments of each body if the Planning Commission would.
I think we're pretty well versed, sir. We already have the paperwork in front of us, and we've all read it and kind of studied it. So just go ahead with your presentation. Sir, are you still there? Mark, is he off or what?
Mr. Nick, are you still there? Mr. Nick, if you would, we're having technical difficulties hearing you. If you don't mind, if you could log off and log back in, hopefully that can solve the technical problems. I'm not sure why we're not hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
here.
if I may make a recommendation, since we have technical problems, it may be appropriate to allow any of the engineers that's going to be testifying along with the application. So, in order to save the phone call from the owner.
Is there anyone else that represents the company that's doing this tower here in the audience?
If there's anyone else online that's representing this application and would like to testify, please indicate by raising an electronic hand online at this time. Or if you're joining by phone, press *3.
We have no technical people sitting here because that's very unusual.
I see we have somebody named Yvonne raising her hand.
Hi, yes, I'm Yvonne Rose. I work for the Qualtech company representing TowerCo. And I'm really sorry to say I am not prepared to do a presentation. But as he said, as Nick said, we're proposing to put a monopole in this plot. And we have pretty much, I believe, complied to everything. We have maybe some tweaks to make to the drawings regarding some
If I can interrupt.
Oh, thank you.
Yvonne, yes. I need, you're offering testimony now, it seems, and I presume you're not a member of the Delaware Bar, so I'm going to ask you to be sworn. Could you give us your full name and an address, please, for the record?
Yvonne Rose. The Qualtech address is 200 North Warner Road, Suite 200 in King of Prussia, PA, 19426.
And did you say Rose?
I did, as in the flower, R-O-S-E.
Great. So, Ms. Rose, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And I'll ask you too, do you have any idea whether Nick Cousset is able to follow along? Are you texting him? Do you know whether he can hear what's going on?
No, but that's a great idea, and I will do that right now.
Also, ma'am, while you're doing that, your line is open, so we don't lose you. I would open it up to the commissioners to see if they have any particular questions about this application, what's being covered. Anybody gonna have any questions?
Question is,
Oh, hold on. Oh, you need something, Mr. Mills? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Mills.
is there anyone in the audience here that represents that
No,
application?
nobody's here. So either this lady on the phone, or if we can get a hold of the other gentleman. And do you have any particular questions at all, Mr. Mills? No? Mr. Davis?
She may have already said this. I'd like for her to repeat what is her position with the company that's on the application, or is she a friend, or is she an employee? I'd like to know what her official title is in relationship to the application.
Yes, sir. I am a site acquisition specialist, and I deal a lot with the leasing of the landowner, with the landowner.
Site acquisitions is her.
Do you have anything else, ma'am, you'd like to add from what he started and didn't finish? If not, I'll go into the commission here to see if they have any questions for you.
No, I don't have anything further to add.
Mr. Servon, you have a question?
Yes, it's more of an engineering question. I was wondering that there's microwave antennas on the tower. That's what they're using?
I'm going to, defer to our RF specialist.
Are they available?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You have to give us your name and address and how you represent the company.
I represent the T-Mobile networks. My name is Manan Mehta. The office address is 475 Virginia Drive, Port Washington, PA.
Mr. Mehta, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You're a witness.
Go right ahead, sir, if you had something you wanted to add, or are you waiting for questions from our commission?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add on this one right now.
Mr. Servon, would you like, can this gentleman possibly address what Mr. Servon asked? Go ahead again, Mr. Servon.
All right, my question is, are they utilizing microwave antennas on the antenna, on the pole design?
Not the actual microwave dish antennas, but they are the radio frequency antennas, which normally the telecom company use on all the towers.
Okay, within the monopole design, is it possible that they could add things in the future that aren't included presently?
For future upgrades, they can add the stuff as needed.
Okay, I think we have another commissioner, Mr. Davis, wants to ask a question.
I guess my concern is to the commission and to the public. We have a lot of people here this evening either for or against the application. Based upon what I've heard to this minute, there's very little information that I think the public is going to be able to get a good understanding and actually understand what's going on there. I know they got a lot of issues. I've read the material. I think in fairness to the company and to particularly the public, they're here for a reason. This is very important to them. I personally think this should be tabled till next week if we can do it, because I want to hear the answers they have for the questions of the public. That's what we're here for, is to represent the public. And I don't think we have enough information at this point in time is to be fair for either side. I don't know if I can make a motion now, but if I could, I will make a motion that's going to be tabled for next week if that's permissible by staff.
I'll second it.
Second.
Hold on a minute, we'll get some clarity from our attorney before we do anything. Being we don't have anybody from Qualtech to answer the particular questions, it would have to be put off till 1 month. It cannot be put off till next week, am I correct?
We would recommend you continue it for 1 month. Just take it to the next hearing in October.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Davis. So everybody understands that we can't handle it under our official meeting because we haven't got the answers to the questions that's already been arised. And we're really starting to apologize to everybody. Mr. Davis, if you want to go ahead and make a motion for a 30-day postponement till next month.
I move that the commission table this for a period of 30 days to give the application process and also the public a better understanding as to what's going to be taking place there. So it'll be 30 days from this date at the next month's meeting. Thank you.
Second that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sir, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to table.
Mr. Servon?
Yes, per the motion.
Mr. Galvry?
Yes, as per motion.
Mr. Mills?
Yes, per motion.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, per motion.
Mr. Jester?
Yes, per the motion.
So you have 6 yeas in favor of continuing application C-2404 to the October public hearing.
And I personally apologize for everybody with their technical difficulties. I think it'd be better not only for the ones that were for it or the ones that are against it, till we get all these questions answered, and it'll be next month's meeting. So that has been tabled until next month. Thank you all. Now we'll go to their second application on tonight's agenda. Application C-24-05. Applicant is State Fair Community Energy Initiative, LLC, care of Michael Redding, PE, CO 203 Crescent Street, Suite 106, Waltham, Maine 02453. Owner, Harrington Farmington Road, 1410 Lakeshore Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32803. Engineer is the Becker Morgan Group Incorporated, care of Michael Henry, lead AP, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware. Property is located on Farmington Road in Harrington, Delaware. Its present zoning is AR. Relation to the growth zone is inside. Present use, proposed use is same with a community solar. Levy Court District is a 6, Mr. Hurt. Forest. Fire District is Harrington. School District is Lake Forest. I get no difficulties tonight. The area is actually 32.61 acres, of which 19.02 project area on the east side of Farmington Road. Is there someone here to represent this application? Please give us your name and your company and your address, so you can be sworn firm.
Good evening. Mike Ryman, Becker Morgan Group, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware.
Mr. Ryan, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Welcome, sir. Go ahead with your presentation.
Great. So let me get my PowerPoint here. So as was mentioned, this is a application for a community energy facility, which I know this commission is extremely familiar with. This is a conditional use application. There are 4 criteria that we are required to demonstrate compliance with the conditional use standards. Those are listed here, and those 4 standards are that the location is appropriate, not in conflict with the comprehensive plan. This project is located within the growth zone. It is zoned AR, and the community solar is a permitted use within that zoning district. It is adjacent to what is now the State Fairground and Casino. That the public health and safety will not be adversely impacted. Solar farms produce a minimum amount of disturbance. They provide a source of renewable energy. There will be soil testing performed in accordance with your code, and there is limited impervious proposed with the development. Also, that there will be adequate off-street parking. That's really not applicable here, as this is not a project that generates traffic or need for parking. And in addition, that necessary safeguards to protect the surrounding property and persons will be implemented. This project is in compliance with all of the standards recently adopted by Levy Court regarding community solar facilities, including all required setbacks, buffers, etc. As was previously mentioned, and I know you've seen this before, these are all of the setbacks and buffers and requirements associated with community solar facilities in Kent County, and this project complies with all of those various standards. This just shows you the site here. You can see Farmington Road is there. We are adjacent to a railroad, and then you can see the State Fairgrounds property paged north. As was mentioned, the total site property outlined in yellow is 32 acres. This gives you a depiction of what the facility will look like. You can see the panels here. There's 2 essential fields of panels, one here and one here. That is due to the fact there are some tax ditches on site with some buffers and easements associated with them, which we have avoided to accomplish the design. The solar array area is about 19 acres. Just highlighting a little bit more detail. There is security fencing around the facility, both sections of the arrays. You can see there's a tax ditch here and there's a tax ditch in the back, and you can see the buffers and the separation there. That's in accordance with the existing tax ditch easements that are on site. There are 2 access points to Farmington Road, one here and one here. Again, that is mainly because the facility is divided, or the property is divided by an existing tax ditch which bisects the property. In addition, we have provided landscape buffers in accordance with the code. We've worked with staff to extend those buffers up into the site so that as someone is driving on Farmington Road, it would help to obstruct any views into the facility as you were driving by. Again, this just highlights the landscape buffers. The landscape buffers are very well spelled out in your code and identify the mix of trees, the widths, and the density of landscaping, and this will be in accordance with that. This is the fence details, which again, I know you've seen this slide before, but essentially we're looking at a mesh wire fence, which includes 4x4 openings within the fence to allow small animals to continue to traverse through. And then there'll be some larger openings, 16 inch by 16 inch, so that larger animals you can see there can go ahead and navigate through and without obstructing any animals that may be migrating through the facility. In addition to that, we do propose pollinator mixed planting throughout, which has become common with solar. Some of the things that we have heard is that solar projects can impact property values. We provided these studies to the county before with numerous applications. There's been numerous studies that have been done that demonstrate that that is not the case, that residential property values will not be negatively impacted as a result of a community energy facility. The reason we are here this evening is that we sent out notification in accordance with your code. There were 7 neighbors notified per county code. We received 2 no objections. 1 objection was received, and then there was no response to the others. In addition, it's worth noting that our client, as is custom with our client ECA, who has been before this body numerous times, did reach out to neighbors even in advance of this to receive community impact and community input, and there were no responses. We have reviewed the staff report. We have no objections to any of the items in the staff report. Staff did recommend approval of the project. And then lastly, I know there is a letter in the packet from the Kent Economic Partnership objecting to the project because of its proximity to rail. And the potential use of the property as an industrial site. A couple things I want to point out with respect to that is, number one, the property is not zoned industrial, the property is zoned AR. The second point is that within this county's comprehensive plan, the property is not identified to be zoned industrial in the future. The industrial area within this particular region tends to lie between the railroad and Route 13, but not going west of the railroad. So we respectfully disagree with Kent Economic Partnership's position on that. In addition, the property is not of a scale that they would typically see the use for rail. I think they have been on the record in the past that properties of 100 acres or more tend to be more appropriate for rail access. So in this particular case, the property is about 30 acres with some tax ditches that limit the ability to develop the property. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I have a question. The electricity generated by this facility will be supplied to who?
It will go to, I believe it's Delmarva Power, correct? Yeah. Do you want to answer?
Hold on. If you got the answer, we'll get you separately. So I will open it up while you're there. I'm going to open up the other commissioners. I think Mr. Davis has a question.
Sure.
Well, actually, I think I was asking the same question you were, Mr. Chairman. I get asked this question all the time. I ask it at the meetings. Who benefits from the solar panels? That's what I want to know. Is it going to be the local residents? Is it going to be Chop Tank? Are you selling it someplace else? It's going to be Harrington. So I'll look for that, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Peterman?
You sent 7 letters out to the neighbors. Is that all the houses that's there, 7? Or did you just pick the ones that's the closest to the project?
Yeah, it's not up to us. It's prescribed within the county code that any property, I believe within 200 feet, Sarah, is required to receive these notifications.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll get the next gentleman up, and I guess he'll give us his name, his relationship to the project, and his address, so he can be sworn or affirmed.
Thank you. My name is Vincent Moschella. I'm the Chief Development Officer for ECA Solar. Our address is 203 Crescent Street, Suite 106, Waltham, Massachusetts, 02453.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I think you know what the question is from Mr. Davis and myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the product of solar that this is, and I'm sure there's more than I even know about it, there's different varieties. This is called community solar. It was enabled under Senate Bill 2, sponsored by Senator Hansen in 2021, about the same time that the county underwent a lot of its ordinance efforts, which, you know, we played a large role in, and really commend the efforts that went into putting this ordinance together. What community energy is, or community solar is another name for it, is it's a program offered by the utility that allows us to sell power from the projects that we develop, build, and own directly to consumers. So in this case, any member within Delmarva Power and Light specifically that lives within the state of Delaware is able to subscribe at no cost to them in this solar project. Obviously, there's only so much room. Eventually it fills up. We guarantee a minimum savings of 10% on any credit that we apply to your bill. There's no cost. You can get out of it for free. You get into it for free. If you move, it can transfer with you. The reason that this program is becoming so popular is a lot of people can't put solar on their roof. Maybe they don't own their roof. Maybe they rent. Maybe they can't afford it. This is a program that was designed to allow solar access to that type of customer within Delmarva Power and Light. I'll stop there and I can handle the benefits part.
So you have no specific individual that's buying this or being served with this, just they're customers of Delmarva Power?
They have to opt in and basically subscribe to it, but yes, it would benefit hundreds of people within Delmarva Power and Light that choose to subscribe to this project. Typically, the way that we do it, I've done this in multiple communities and we'll offer it for this one as well. For the first 3 months, we will restrict subscriptions to the local zip code that the project is located in, giving local stakeholders within Harrington first rights to this. And the reason why we do that is obviously there's a lot more people that live in Wilmington, a lot more people that live by the beach. So rather than getting drowned out by people either upstate or downstate, we try to sort of insulate the residents of Harrington to get first dibs on this.
So it is the localized area would be first?
First, yeah. Typically, we hold it open for a couple of months at least, yeah. So we've done that in other communities. I mean, sometimes we get 1 person, sometimes we get 0, sometimes we get 100. It really just depends on what the appetite is locally.
Is that good enough, Mr. Davis?
I don't know. Do you have a current contract with DP&L?
With DP&L, so our contract with DP&L is limited to our interconnection approval with them. We do have one of those. It has been countersigned, and we've been invoiced for the first 50% of the local upgrades that we need to pay for. So the substation just north of our property, you know, anyone that's really familiar with the area, if you drive by it, it's quite old. There's a lot of rusting equipment in there, and it was deemed by Delmarva Power that for this project to be able to safely operate on the grid, a lot of that equipment needed to be upgraded and replaced. That cost and burden is not put on the ratepayer, it's put on the solar generator. So we are contributing about $2.1 million to the local infrastructure for upgrades at the Harrington substation, as well as the utility lines up on the street. Now, what that won't do is it's not, you know, these big transmission lines that you might see associated with utility scale solar, like the big one proposed in Smyrna. These are the same wires that are currently on the street. We're just modernizing them, increasing the gauge.
I just got a question just for my own curiosity.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the battery-operated cars.
Mm-hmm.
Grid system's not going to handle it. Are you connected to that the climate control issue about these battery cars? Are you involved in that with this plan?
We're not proposing any batteries on this parcel. Delaware doesn't currently have a statute or regulatory environment that is conducive to batteries. So we're, you know, I would actually go further than that and state that our lease agreement with the landowner does not allow for batteries to be put in place, so this would be entirely separate. I can say that what we are doing, though, is addressing that need by adding more local generation. So if, you know, the fairground were to install a bunch of car chargers, at least there would be energy generated locally to offset that.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it.
And then I want to touch on, I heard you mention community benefits as well. So, you know, as an executive of the company, I can say that that is something that we hold near and dear to our heart. I think at this time it's not appropriate for us to sort of disclose conversations that we're having with, you know, non-voting stakeholders in the local community, but we do go above and beyond to make sure that, you know, we are contributing to the local community and volunteering, whether it be through man hours or whatever it be. So that's something I personally am very invested in.
We thank you for your presentation. Stand right there a minute. The rest of the commissioners, anybody have any more questions? Go ahead, Mr. Mills.
Right across the road from Farmington Road, there's another solar system going in there on a pretty large farm. Is there any relation, any connection with that, with you two?
Just that they're our sole objector. So no, there's no love between us.
Two companies different then?
Different companies, yeah. They're the sole entity that objected to our project.
Yeah, because I know we've approved 4 solar ventures in the 1 mile radius of where you're at, probably up on Hamilton Road too. So
that is ours. The Hamilton one is ours.
The Taylor one, or in the tree farm?
Excuse me?
The one on the west side of Farmington Road, or the one on the east side of Farmington Road?
The west side. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
your presentation.
Absolutely. Mike, good.
I'll now open it up to everybody else here. Is there anybody else here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Please come up to the mic. I think we got somebody walking up, right? Is he? Oh, he's not walking up. Go ahead there, Mr. Andrews. I think you can come up to the mic. He was bigger than you anyway. I thought maybe he'd take you. I didn't know.
I certainly can't outrun him.
Give us your name and your address.
My name is Bill Andrew. I live at 6 Mitchellmore Court, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
Mr. Andrews, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bill Andrew. I'm a retired utility person of 44 years. And I've served the majority of that time in Kent, Sussex, Delaware, keeping the lights on. I want to tell you that I'm an advocate of solar. I fully understand that we are short on generation on the peninsula, and we have many challenges ahead of us. The community solar design installs solar energy on the distribution side of the circuit that feeds directly to the customers and serves local customers, and I'm a big person in favor of that. This project, as you know, serves the Delmarva Power customers. I actually was district manager of Harrington District for a period of 11 years between 1985 and 1996 before I went to Delaware Electric Cooperative. When I retired from Delaware Electric Cooperative, the last thing that I did was I recommended to the board that they maximize their ability to build distribution solar on their circuits in order to serve the local customers. Once again, I hope you put your consideration towards this project and approve the community solar aspect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else here who'd like to make a presentation in favor of this project? And I know this is an attorney, so he will not have to be sworn in. Please give us your name and
Well, as my wife is fond of reminding me, I'm under oath 24/7, so I would appreciate the opportunity to be sworn. But be that as it may, my name is William J. DeMundi. I'm a resident of 10 Fillingham Way, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I commuted up with Bill Andrew this evening to come and visit with you tonight. And I am a member of the Board of Directors of the Delaware State Fair. I'm also a member of the Board of Directors of Harrington Raceway Incorporated. I served as president of the fair for 12 years, and most recently the last 16 years, until having retired on December 31st, I served as general manager of the Delaware State Fair. And I have been asked by President Ron Draper, the current president R. Ronald Draper of the Delaware State Fair, and Patricia B. Key, who is the CEO and president of Harrington Raceway, to appear here tonight and to offer corporately their support, both the Delaware State Fair as well as Harrington Raceway, for this project. And we've heard extolled the virtues of community solar and how that's different perhaps from some of the other plain vanilla forms of solar that you all have considered and approved over the years. And our biggest challenge is going to be how big of an extension cord we can find and to lay across the railroad tracks to get power over to the fairgrounds. But as someone who has spent 16 years with help from Bill Andrew purchasing power on the wholesale level for and on behalf of the fair and the raceway, we welcome the opportunity that in future years, we, both the fair and the raceway, may truly become a beneficiary of the ability to buy directly from this provider if approved by the Regional Planning Commission here this evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I don't think we have any questions. I've kind of polled the commissioners. So thank you for your presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else here in favor of this application would like to speak? Third and final call. Anyone else here in favor? Going to the against side, is there anyone here that's against this project and would like to speak? Anyone against this project? Third and final call.
Mr. Chair.
Do we have anybody on the phone?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or against this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. If you're joining us by phone, please press *3. I see no hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So having called both sides, we'll be taking this project up next week. Thank you all for your comments.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Who are you, sir? Oh, I see.
This is Nick Kuche, who got kicked out of the meeting for, I guess, tech purposes. And I am back using a different device and was hoping I could complete briefly my presentation this evening if possible.
Well, you can go ahead and you'll be able to summarize it next month. We have voted to table it for 30 days, so you'll be on our agenda for next month's meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming back, though. We appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.
Next application tonight is actually ordinance number, application number, and name is LC-24-25, CZ-24-08, NAA LLC. Applicant owner is NAA LLC, 32 Brook Hill Drive, Newark, Delaware, 19702. Present zoning comp plan designation is BN. Proposed zoning comp plan designation is BG. Relation to the growth zone is inside. Levy Court District is the first, Maston. School District is Smyrna. Fire District is Citizens Hose, Station 44. Area and location is 1.84 plus or minus acres, located on the east side of South DuPont Highway. Is there somebody here to represent this application? Please come to the mic, give us your name and your address, and if you're not an attorney, you'll be either sworn or affirmed.
Thank you. Good evening. Elio Batista Jr. of Parkowski, Girk, and Swayze, attorney on behalf of NAA LLC. As indicated, my client is here seeking a rezoning of their property from business neighborhood commercial to business general highway commercial. With respect to the purpose for the rezoning, it's basically giving my client the flexibility to actually do something with the property that the market will allow without having to go through the process of trying to shoehorn some use through the conditional use process and find a use that is permitted pursuant to the code with respect to the proposed zoning. With respect to the justification, you've all seen the staff report. There's nothing I can say that's not included in that. The elements for the requirements are stated, and the reasons. Anything else, I would just be reiterating what the staff has already articulated in justification and support for the rezoning. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Otherwise, I have Tim Anderson with Anderson Consulting, who's the engineer who can make a brief presentation on any of the technical questions you may have.
So for the record, you do agree with all staff recommendations?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions for the? Seeing none, we thank you, sir. And you say you have somebody else?
Yes. It's Tim Anderson with Anderson Civil Engineering who will make a presentation on the technical aspects.
Okay, sir. Well, then you'll get a name to give us your name and your address, and you'll be sworn or affirmed.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Tim Anderson with Anderson Civil Engineering, and my address is 242 Milford Drive, Middletown, Delaware, 19709.
Mr. Anderson, do you solemnly swear from the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Try to keep as close to the mic as you can, please.
Okay.
Or raise it.
Pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is an exhibit before you that is the same as what is in the packet. The only different. Oh. Okay. Thank you. The only difference is that I've outlined the boundary in color. There's not much really to see on this exhibit, but I thought I'd put it up for reference. So to avoid repeating information that's already in the packet, I'll just go through this briefly. The subject property is 1.8 acres. It's located at 4043 DuPont Boulevard, Smyrna, Delaware. It's located on the east side of Route 13, just north of Garrison's Lake. The property is currently zoned BN. Requesting the zoning to BG. The site is served by public sewer and public water, and access will be taken from Route 13. And the site plan pursuant to approval by the Planning Commission and subsequently Levy Court would have to be reviewed again by Kent County, including the Planning Commission. And I don't really have anything else to add, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So currently on their site, it's vacant?
Yes, it is. There is a gravel area. It's difficult to see, but there's an area of gravel here. Other than that, it's a vacant site.
Yeah, I can see it on our reduced drawing that we do have. So I'll open up to commissioners. Anybody have any questions of this applicant? No. So I don't see any, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You might want to take your drawing down so we can see everybody else, please. Thank you. Open it up to the audience. Is there anyone else here that's in favor of this project and would like to speak? Anyone else here in favor of this project would like to speak? Third and final call. You can come right on up if you'd like to speak in favor of this particular project.
Not in favor.
Okay, I haven't got to that part yet. I'm getting ready to change over. Seeing none that's in favor, I will now ask for anyone against this project. So I assume you're against it, young lady? You can come up to the mic and give us your name and address. Yes, right there. Just keep the mic close to you. Give us your name and address, and you can either be sworn or affirmed.
I'll need to be sworn. My name is Marcia Cauthen, C-A-U-T-H-E-N. I reside at 366 Sorrel Circle, Smyrna, Delaware.
Ms. Cauthen, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. I'm here as the president of the Spring Meadow Community Association. We are the high-density residential neighborhoods shown on the right side of the screen. And we received the notice as the community association, since we own the land. It's our open common areas on the north side of the parcel. There's 8 individual homes that back up to this property, and they all received notice. I guess our real concern is the understanding initially that it was zoned for business for an office building, which would control the hours of operation. And in talking with Tim a few weeks ago, discussion to change what the zoning is to commercial. It could possibly be a warehouse, same size building, but we're just concerned about if it was a warehouse, the amount of noise and sound that would be coming from that based on what the business hours are.
Well, tonight is only a zoning change.
Okay.
So they'll be coming back to us with a set of plans eventually. So they'll be telling us what they're going to do on the site. We have no idea yet. All we're dealing with tonight and next week will be a zoning change from BN to BG.
Yes, all right.
And there's about, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages they're allowed to do on a BG zoning. So that's available on the Levy Court site if you'd like to look at that, what they can do. But we don't know that tonight.
Thank you very much.
I thank you for your presentation and your concern.
Thank you.
Anyone else here against this project and would like to speak? Anyone else against? If not,
Mr.
then we'll be
Chair.
taking, we have anybody on the phone?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then we'll be closing this project for tonight and taking it up at our next week's meeting. Thank you all for attending. Our next project, plan number and title is SL-24-01, Linbury Woods. Location is located on the north side of Linbury Woods Road, 250 feet west of Walden Lane, north of Cheswold. Owner is Marie Garrison, Tammy S. Daniels, Joseph M. Johnson, 2187 Linbury Woods Road, Dover, Delaware, 19904. Applicant is K. Javian, Delaware Division Incorporated, 2499 South DuPont Boulevard, Suite 6, Smyrna, Delaware, 19977. Present zoning is AC. Levy Court is the 3rd, Mr. Angel. School district is Capital. Fire district is Cheswold, Station 43. Size of site is 61.41 acres, plus or minus. Number of lots is 125. Active open space is 1.07. Total open space is 18.74. Stormwater management area is 3.01. Wetlands 2.4. Total acres within woods 8.8. Average lot size is 11,697 square feet. Relation to the gross zone is inside. Density is 2.05 units per acre. Streets are public to be constructed according to the Delaware Division of Highway specs. Water will be public, Tidewater. Sewer will be public, Kent County. I assume there's somebody here to represent this application. Give us your name and address and be sworn or affirmed, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Jonathan Content with K. Hovnanian Homes. Address is 2499 South DuPont Boulevard, Smyrna, Delaware, 19977.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, go ahead with your presentation.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this to you tonight. We just handed out a packet that is substantially similar to what is in the electronic form, but at the end of the day, we noticed that we had some numbers.
Can you hold up a minute? Is that other mic giving us feedback? You have any idea what that is? Thank you very much. Much better. We'll go ahead with your presentation, sir.
All right, thank you very much. A lot of the information that's contained in this presentation you've already gone over. The paper packet that is in front of you does contain some revised information. As I was stating, we realized that some of the numbers were actually from a different site plan that we were working on. So the numbers in this packet are updated versus what will be on screen. So if you flip to page 3, you can see an aerial photo of the 2 parcels that we're going to be discussing tonight. And the blue highlight represents the combination of those 2 parcels. And if you flip to the next page, it gives you a little more information about the location of this project. It's on Lindberry Woods Road, which is in Cheswold. I think the address is technically Dover. It sits just north of the Cheswold town line between Morton Road and Messina Hill Road, with quick access to Route 13 and Route 1. And then on page 4, you've already seen or stated the information regarding the utilities, Tidewater, Kent County, Delaware Electric Co-op, and Capital School District. It is within the growth overlay, growth zone overlay, with low density, which is exactly what we're proposing for this site. It is also located within the Cheswold Transportation Improvement District. And then we also have a wetland delineation that we did on this project that you can see on page 8. Our proposed use, as stated in the application, is for 125 single-family detached lots. Our density is lower than the maximum allowed in the zone, which is 3 dwelling units per acre. We're just over 2. You can see a copy of the site plan in the packet. And then we can move on to some of the, let me catch us up here. Do I have control here, or do you have to do it? This is the map that we talked about, or that I talked about with the comprehensive plan growth zone overlay. You can see where the yellow star is located. That is the subject parcel. It is surrounded on 3 sides by Lakeshore Village, which is an existing subdivision. On this map, the Transportation Improvement District, our parcel is located by the blue star. And then here is our wetland delineation. We do have a pocket of wetlands which exist, a large portion in the northeast corner with a stream that leads out into Lakeshore Village. And then in the bottom left, you can see there are a few more small pockets of wetland, as well as a blue line stream along the western boundary of the property. This is the information for everybody else who couldn't see it before. This is the information that was right off at the beginning of the application. Our average lot size is 11,697 square feet, and we're planning 125 single-family detached units. And then we state the side and front and rear setbacks were compliant with everything within our zoning. Here's a copy of our site plan. We'll have one main entrance off of Lindberry Woods Road, and we're proposing to connect the 2 stub roads from Lakeshore Village that were originally platted. Amenities for this area are about 2.5 acres. Actually, that one is incorrect. It's 1.07 acres of open space for the amenity area. We've got sidewalks on both sides. So in this listing, which has incorrect information from a different project, our actual sidewalk area or linear footage is over 14,000, as we do have dual sidewalks all the way throughout the community, which is something that DelDOT requires us to do now. The roads that connect into Lakeshore Village does not have any sidewalks in front of the lots that I'm aware of. But we will be putting them in here, as well as a walking path, which we'll get to. We are anticipating having a dog park, as shown on our plat, a gazebo up near the entrance, which is also located near where the proposed school bus stop will be, and benches throughout, and a tot lot. which you can see here. This is an example of one that our supplier has given us. We would intend to build something similar to this, but at the time that we get to construction, this model may not be available, but this is an example of what we are intending to do. And then here are some pictures of the other amenities. And then on here is a map that shows the sidewalks in blue. They are, of course, all along the fronts of the houses and the Del Dot right-of-way. The pink area actually shows our nature trail or walking path, which goes around part of the wetland and around part of, or two different stormwater facilities, and then connects back into the main sidewalks. Our school bus stop is proposed to be right up at the front. I did consult with Capital School Districts. They reviewed the plan. This is their email saying that they agree with our location. And again, that location will be right up at the front. And there will be we will have the gazebo up there, and there is another area that is dedicated as the school bus stop that is adjacent to that gazebo. And this allows them to come in, make a right turn into Lindberry Woods, pick up the kids on the right side. They can drive through the community and drive out through Lakeshore Village. Here's a total open space summary. We've got about 18.5 acres of open space. A little over 18, actually 18.73 on the corrected plan, 1.07 for the active, which is the areas with the walking trail and the tot lot, and then we have the balance of that, which is 17.66 is passive open space. We will be preserving 6.32 acres of woodlands, and our intention is to try to preserve as much of the existing tree buffers as possible. We generally prefer to have buffers around our properties, especially where the backs of houses might be facing each other. And so we intend to do that. We are also compliant with the stream buffer as well as the wetland buffers. And we have 2.4 acres of wetlands, which our current plan does not propose to impact. Which brings us to our waiver request. This application comes with a waiver request from street linkages. We are intending to connect to 2 out of the 3 existing stubs in Lakeshore Village. And the reason that we are asking for the waiver from the 3rd is because it would require us to cross a blue line stream. And we would prefer to not have any impacts to wetlands or to the streams in the area. Our desire for this project is to not impact the existing vegetation as much as possible, and certainly putting a road through a stream bed and that tree line right there would have a major impact on that area. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about your stub connection over to Wycombe Drive. I guess it would be taking up that lot 54 in your development to be able to get across the wetlands possibly, and that's the one the county is actually opposing, that you're not doing it.
Correct.
And I assume that the other development have already put their stub street in.
There is no stub street there. This is a satellite photo that you see. There is a short stub, but for whatever reason, the developer at Lakeshore never completed it. On the western side, you can see a small stub.
Can you point to it,
but it does not go the entire way. And on the north and east side, that stub ends where that light gray is. They never stubbed it the rest of the way. So our plan for the northern side and the eastern side would be to build the rest of that stub, but that does not go through a wetland or a stream area.
So you're not willing in that area and all?
We would prefer not
to give us connection to the next development.
We would prefer not to connect. Again, we prefer our plans to not have any impact on wetlands. There are a lot of other requirements that come with that, including the requirement of getting a DNREC and an Army Corps permit, wetland permit, which they have discretion as to whether or not they'll entertain that. And just north of the corner of our site, probably up here, Lakeshore Village already has a connection from the western portion of Lakeshore to the central portion of Lakeshore. So they can go up north, connect through that road, if for some reason they couldn't use their main entrance. And then, of course, we will have this one and that one that we will be constructing.
Okay, I'll open you up to the other commissioners. Mr. Davis, or you first? Go ahead.
I just got a question. You made reference to the school bus stop, and that's pretty important as far as I'm concerned, taking care of the kids. It looks like that you have the school bus stop, it says bus stop shelter. Is there any way you can make like a way that the bus can pull into an area? In other words, the bus is going to sit right out on the street. Why can't you cut in so that a bus will have some pull into the curb? It might be a little bit safer because people are going to come off of this other road, and that's kind of a hazard, in my opinion.
Yes, that's something that we can look at as far as spacing. And actually, at this time, I'd like to bring up our engineer, Charlie Renette from Morris and Ritchie.
I don't want you to think about it. I want you to do it.
As long as we have enough room, I don't think that that will be a problem. I know that entrance was very narrow, and we had to work with DelDOT prior to getting to this point to get them okay with us using that location as our entrance.
Because it just looks to me like you have the space here to do it. And I don't know why you can't cut in so that bus can pull kind of off the road a little bit. You know, I understand about.
Yeah, you're asking for a pull off that offsets from the main drive so that the bus is not in traffic.
If you check with your boss next week, that might make my decision whether I'm going to support it or not. 'Cause I look after the kids. Thank you.
Yeah, because you'll have a couple days to get back to us, and whether you support or don't support what we suggest tonight. I think Mr. Mills has a question.
I got the same interest because I'm in the school bus business, been in it for 40 years. And I am concerned with how these kids, I don't care what the Capital District Transportation Supervisor says, I know all about. Now, what they got here, unless you put a place in there for all those cars that are going to bring those kids out, you got a problem. You got a problem getting those kids on that bus. You got a problem getting them off. And there's probably 3 different schools that are going to be coming in there. The elementary, the central, and the high school at different times. And it's great that they can go in that one side and go out the other and continue out to the other end of the street. That's fine. But up at that entrance, I'm only going to support it if I see a place on here for cars to park and for that bus to be able to make enough room to get over and get those kids off in a safe position. A little shelter there doesn't sell it.
We can certainly make room for the pull-off for the bus. We'll try to work on getting something done prior to next Thursday.
You're talking my language now.
But we
all
can do that. I just turn around and ask them, do we have room for the pull-off? Yes.
Well, we'll
have to check and see how much.
You have to Tuesday to get something into Sarah.
Close of business Monday.
Monday. Close of business Monday. I don't care if it's just an 8.5 by 11 particular area.
Okay.
Going to do.
I think we can at least provide a red line plan, if not an updated site plan. So we can certainly do the bus pull-off. And I'll look and see how much room we have as far as getting a little bit wider space on the other side, like a shoulder, to see if we can fit that in there as well.
Thank you very much. I think that addresses it, Mr. Mills?
Partially. Go ahead.
Mr. Servon?
Yes, I also have some concerns about the school bus going in the development. I guess it's, is it your intention that the bus is going to drive the road and go out or make a loop and come back out and drop off inside the development?
That is, I mean, that would be up to Capital School District, but my thought with this is that they would not go up and turn around and come back out of the same entrance. So the school bus should not be making a turn in here. I would not think, my thought would be that they would come in here and they could either go out here or out here.
Well, what I'm saying is, are they going to find a place to turn around, or are they going to go in and do a loop and come back out? And
I can't answer that question, but we're giving them several options. They can either exit in through Lakeshore Village on 2 of those stub roads, or they can go into our community, drive all the way around, and come back out. There should not be a scenario in which they have to stop and back up or turn around in the roadway.
Well, I've seen a lot lately where the school bus doesn't even enter the development if they can help it. And that causes a lot of problems.
That is a scenario
So-
that should not exist, but that is
Yeah.
between Capital School District and their transportation company. We're trying to give them a location that gets them off of Linbury Woods Road and into the community, which is exactly what I communicated to them about the location that we're proposing for the stop.
And all they said is, yes?
What they said
That's-
was this.
Okay. Well, I'm just concerned that they're going to do as little as possible. And unless you accommodate them and make it easy for them, you know, that bus does not want to back up. I don't blame it. So you got to make it easy for them to enter and exit. So if they actually go in that entrance, then what's the next recourse? What do they have to do? They have to drive the loop and come back out.
They do, and I assume at this point that they have at least one stop in Lakeshore Village, and this would give them an opportunity to make that loop using the entrance here and an entrance in Lakeshore Village to drive out without having to turn around and come back out. But I can't speak to what route they're going to design at the time that this community is up and running and all the connections are made.
I guess that's...
I don't know. I can't tell Capital School District how to work their buses.
What I'm saying
I
is-
can try to give them space, which is what we're going to do,
and
but I can't make them
accommodate
use
them.
it.
You know, give them as much as you can, I guess. I mean, that would please us up here as far as approval's concerned. That's all.
Any other questions? You got one, sir?
Actually, I'm just housekeeping. I'm assuming that you had a chance to go over all of the staff recommendations, and with the exception of the, there was one waiver request. With the exception of the one waiver request, I'm assuming that you're in compliance or willing to be in compliance with all the recommendations.
Yes, we are either in compliance or we can accept all the recommendations except for their denial of the waiver request.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Mr. Peterman?
On the school bus picking up the children, would you consider making a recommendation to the Capital School District to make the pickup, if it's not going to be one pickup place or two, to the center of that development, so the kids won't have to walk from the farthest point to the farthest point?
We initially looked at putting the location in the center, but I don't think that Capital is going to like how little space there is. Essentially, kids would be standing in somebody else's yard. So we moved it up to the front. We could look, unfortunately, as you can see from the site plan, we have houses fronting the street in most places. The only areas where we don't would either be at the back here, at the front here, or at the back right here, or at the entrance. So that's what we proposed to the school district.
Okay.
And that's not to say, again, I don't know what their plans are in Lakeshore Village. That's not to say that they won't come in and have a stop somewhere in Lakeshore Village where those residents along the backside of Linbury Woods could walk a shorter distance to that stop. And I know that they change their routes almost every year, mostly depending upon whether or not they have enough buses to handle it. And I don't know what that's going to look like. Our timeline for this is probably somewhere between 12 and 18 months to approval within this body and the other agencies. And then after we close, probably a year or two to full build out to get all these street stubs in. And at that time, I have no idea what their load is going to be like or what their routes will be. We can certainly ask them about that, but I don't think they're going to want to use that small an area, but we can certainly talk to them about it and see what they think.
Well, it looks to me like you got plenty of room to make the school bus pick up kids stop very safe in there, even if you had to give up a house. Giving up a house is better than giving up a life. So can we count on you, or can I count on you to go to the school superintendent, bus superintendent, whoever he is?
I can check with transportation and see if they have a more preferred location for pickup.
Yeah, okay. And we'll know that next week, right?
Now, it might take them a little while to get back to me. I asked them, it took them about 2 weeks to get back to me on the question that I asked, and they just got back to me yesterday morning. But I will reach out to them tomorrow and see if I can get an answer beyond what we have proposed and see if there's something else that they would prefer.
I'd like to have that answer if possible before a vote, so that's why I'm asking you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't think there's any more questions. Oh, you got one more question? Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Counselor, I just have one question. I think I know the answer, but I just want to put it on the record. The school district that has the bus program, a statute does not override the county's decision. In other words, we make the final decision on the site plan. So if we didn't agree with what the district did, we could certainly do what we want to put in there. Is that correct?
I think you can ask for the project to be designed in the way that you feel is most appropriate through the conditional use process. But ultimately, it sounds like the school district, to me, has jurisdiction over what route they approve, and they'll have the final say. So while you may be and I refer to it as conditional use process. That's not exactly what it is, but while you may try and influence that process through your recommendation to the levy court, ultimately you can't dictate how those bus routes are going to be designed.
Okay, can I get on that question?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Mills.
You're right. The school districts dictate the school route, but picking up those kids inside these developments is done by courtesy of the housing developers and or what we approve of, what we think is the safest way for those kids to get on and off that bus. The school district does not dictate anything or how a development has to build a place for those kids to be picked up. The route, you're right. They do have authorization of how that route is to be run. But where we stop, where the contractor has to put up with to stop, and where those kids got to get on and put up with the cars, and getting those kids off and on that street, I know all about this. And I think it's courtesy of the developer to show a place where it's a safe to get those kids on and off the bus. And I am like Mr. Peterman said, the safest place is get that bus off that road, off of that, I can't see the name of it, go in that development to the center and have a big spot there for those kids to get on and off that bus. Now, it is in other developments. I know, pick them up. Going inside these developments, and yes, there is some of these developments that got a nice big area for kids to get on and off that bus and for the parents to pick them kids up at some center location in that development that's got a picnic area or pavilion or something other than out along the edge of that route, like you got it, like your proposal is down here at the end of this route.
Part of our proposal is to get the bus stop installed early. The further in we move it to the community, the later it will be installed.
The reason you put it out here along the road is because you don't want to get all the houses you can sold in that development, and you don't care about the safety of getting.
That is not accurate. I'm not, aside from my representing Kay Avnanian, I'm not going to sit here and let you tell me that I don't care about the safety of the people that are going to buy the homes that we're going to build for them. So respectfully, I would ask that you not make comments like that.
And I will.
I thank you all. I think our questions have been answered. Is there anybody else in your firm or anybody that's going to make any more presentation?
No, sir.
Thank you for your presentation. So I'll ask and I'll open up to the rest of the audience. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here in favor of this project and would like to speak? Anyone else here in favor of this project would like to speak? Third and final call. Anyone here in favor of this project would like to speak? Then I'll go to the against side. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this particular project? I have that lady back there first, and ma'am, the one that put your hand up first, after her, you can come up to the mic over here. So ma'am, come on up and give us your name and address. You can be either sworn or affirmed.
Good evening, everybody. Lori Thomas, 83 Lindley Drive, Dover, Delaware, 19904.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. So I have been in Lakeshore Village for 22 years. I live at 83 Lindley, which is right here on the corner of where they are going to be putting in a street.
Ma'am, you can use that down there. You touch it with your finger, an error will appear.
That is my house right there. So my question is why do we need to put a street? There is no street there now, so why does this development need to connect to our neighborhood? I understand the school buses, I understand all of that, but there is no road right there currently. Why do we need to have a road there?
I think, Sarah, would you like to answer that particular question?
In general, connectivity among developments is favored because it allows for multiple routes for anybody to travel, most especially utilities, emergency services. If one entrance is closed off, other people, you've got alternative routes to get somewhere. That's why connectivity in general is favored.
And does the development own that land, or is that county owned? Is it something that we should be approving or saying yay or nay, or is this just how it is? Because right now the Lakeshore Village, that is technically, is that our land that I pay dues on every year, or is that the county?
No, it's platted within it's effectively dedicated to public use through the Department of Transportation, State Department of Transportation.
When that particular development was approved, what she's trying to say is that it was actually on that plot drawing, just like your deed shows where your house is in the development. The plot drawing designates that as a connector road to this possible proposed development, which is now happening.
Okay, I just want to get on the record that I'm totally against that road.
We understand that. Thank you very much.
So my next question is are they going to be touching the trees that are behind my house? There is a buffer of trees, and I want to know, are they touching those trees?
Ma'am, this is your opportunity to...
Just to put out my concerns though,
Right.
of why I don't want this development.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
you're welcome to talk about the trees and your desire for those trees
Okay.
not to be lost, and then it could very well result in a subsequent question or a comment that the developer wishes to make in response.
Okay. First time doing this, so, okay.
Yep.
So
You're doing
that's
fine.
one of my concerns. I think it's a concern for all of us. Again, I'm only gonna speak for myself, but I do have concerns of those trees. I like my privacy. That is why I have stayed in this neighborhood for 22 years, because I have some trees and no one is behind me. I also am concerned.
Could I answer
Yep.
something before you go on?
Absolutely.
I think the best way to get this answered is a one-on-one. Our planning department could bring up the different drawings and all. Am I correct, Sarah? If she'd like to come to the counter, you come into the planning department someday, because you pay your taxes, you get the right to do what you need to do and find out your answers. So if you'll come into the planning department and ask for a planner, they'll be able to bring up on their maps and everything right in front of you
Okay.
and explain what is recorded and what's going to happen from now on.
Okay, then the other question I have is about the pond that is going in right here. Is that going to, that's mosquito haven for us? And again, these are just some concerns that I have. Is this neighborhood gonna be, spraying for mosquitoes and all this other stuff? So again, I have a lot of questions, and I don't know if it's to you guys or if we need to be asking them, but I'm just kind of raising the concerns that I have. Again, been in this neighborhood for too long, and yes, I'm gonna miss the crops that are being grown behind it. I have again, I know this kind of contradicts, I have no problem with them building this development. I think it's gonna be good for us. It's gonna raise our prices in our homes. I have concerns about the street and the trees and the bugs and the rodents and everything else that goes along with it.
Well, the development, once it gets going and once the houses get in there, they'll develop an HOA. Would you like to go carry that on out, Sarah?
Ultimately, it'll function like every other subdivision in the county. They'll have their own homeowners association that will be responsible for the pond. They will be brought into our stormwater maintenance district. When it comes to mosquito control, that's actually a state-run program. So
Okay.
property owners can request that DENREC spray. But yeah, this will function like every other subdivision in the county, just like your own.
All right, and just one more concern. Messina Hill Road is like a roller coaster, and who's gonna repave that? You're bringing, it's already crowded, it's already busy, it's already a hot mess. Now you're adding another 120 more houses onto it. Who's repaving that road? And again, and it's already a mess trying to get in and out of each side of Messina Hill Road. Are we gonna get some traffic lights there? What are we gonna do? Because again, this is already a busy place with Stonington right across from it. Now you're adding more. Again, who's taking care of Messina Hill Road, Linbury, and how are we gonna get in and out of 13 off of Messina Hill Road and onto 13?
Yeah, this development is actually coming off Linbury Woods Road.
Yeah, but for them,
That's where the majority of the traffic, as far as the other things, and I hate to tell you about politics, but you have a senator and you have a representative in your district to explain these particular road problems to them.
Okay.
Having been worked at DelDOT for almost 30 years, that's the way things get taken care of. And that's what we do in a small state. You actually get your politicians to adjust and hopefully to address the traveling regulations on the roadways.
okay, thank you for your time.
Well, I appreciate it. You had a very thorough conversation. And while you're right there, does any of the commissioners have anything for this young lady? Once again, thank you. Very
You're
thorough,
welcome.
very good.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here against this project and would like to speak? The lady there with her hand up, she had put it up first. Name and address, you can be sworn or affirmed. You can pull the mic right up to your face.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Jarrell. Correct spelling is Jarrell. I live at 11 Walden Lane.
Ms. Jarrell, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So one of my number one concerns is I have an almost 2-year-old son, so he will be going to school eventually. We live at the corner of Walden Lane, which will be directly with the new entrance proposed directly behind our property. Currently, as they've started to upbuild the development, I think it's either Stonington or Stonegate across the street from us, there are several bus stops that are hit in the morning that's directly across from Walden on Linbury and Walden. And currently in the morning, there's at least, I would say, anywhere between 10 and 20 cars that drop kids off, wait for the buses to come. As far as I know, there are no stops within our development from Capitol. They pick up at the entrances. We have 3 entrances to our development. So just to kind of give some of that information, I believe PCA does pick up within our development, but you also have DSU Early College, you have First State Military, you also have any of the other charter schools that come through that come around those busy corners, and kids are outside there all the time getting picked up. There is no real way to police any of that I've seen. I see it every morning with the kids out in the middle of the street trying to wait for the buses to come. In all of the elements, there's nothing there. Another concern is I do recognize that there are the connectors. We understand that they're built in there. That's what they're there for. But we do have a lot of young children. As they said in their own presentation, we do not have sidewalks in our development. So when you're looking at 125 additional homes, you think most of those are probably a dual income household. So you're probably thinking somewhere between 125 to at least 250 cars parked within their development that are going to be accessing our developments with our children that are playing and exercising and using our areas already. We do already have a significant amount of kids that come through, and they're all going to, develop friendships and things of that nature, but you're adding all of that extra traffic within this already booming community that we have, and people speed. We're already seeing additional stop signs being resurrected and enforced in there, and there's no way to really stop the speeding. It's a huge concern within our development as it is that we can't get enough of that as it is now. Now we're going to add an additional 250 cars coming flying in there. The corner where Linbury is that comes through, goes up to Messina Hill Road. That's an absolute disaster as well with all of that. The increased traffic that you're going to put with an additional 250 cars is going to be a danger for everyone as well there. I do know that they just did some improvements on the road to build the turn lanes in there, but people still whip around those corners. They're there. I mean, I look 4 and 5 times before I pull out of our development just because they're there, they're not there. All of a sudden, they're driving 40 down the road. I don't have an overall issue. I'm sorry.
I just say we understand your concerns, but the only thing we're dealing here tonight is Linbury. And until a few years ago, we weren't even addressing the school bus stops till we were lucky enough to have Mr. Mills come on board as a school bus driver. So he's been able to put the knowledge in place of what we actually need. And I can understand your concerns up and down the other roads and all, but the only thing we're reviewing tonight, and I'm not trying to pass the buck because I agree, kids are our most important thing out there, that we can't do anything else except what's on this development.
No, I understand. Sorry. So Linbury Woods is already, you're looking at so you're talking 250 feet from Walden Lane, that's where my house is, and across the street, directly across the street, so 250 feet is an active bus stop where there's at least 10 to 15, and depending on, that's going to grow and change as the families that are moving into that development grow and change as well. So you're looking at all of that traffic already in the 7 o'clock hour as people are going to work on Linbury Woods Road. That is a major connector, as you know, between the Messina Hill and Morton Road. So that is, you know, and now we're going to talk about 250 extra cars.
If you came out of Linbury, the driveway there on the new development where we're I don't know if you can put it with your finger on it, Mark, where they come out on Linbury Woods Road. Mm-hmm. If you came out of that driveway and you was coming out of the proposed development, where would your house be located?
The one on the corner of Linbury and Walden. Yep, right there. That's where I live.
Okay.
So I get to see all the kids all day long. I've actually even offered my porch to some of them when it's raining because some kids don't have parents that are fortunate enough to sit them in the car and wait. And I used to walk to school myself. So I've offered our area. So it's not that I'm against new people in houses. I'm for that issue, but we do need to take care of the kids. And again, I have an up and coming 2-year-old, so we've got a long road ahead of us. And there are a lot of young kids in our own development within the first stretch from Walden to Burnham and beyond. So we have a huge population of young kids that are going to be impacted.
We appreciate your concerns because I know me and Mr. Davis and the rest of us on the commission, we're seeing it more and more where the Del Dot roadways aren't keeping up with the development of everything else happening around them. We try to do the best we can and make it as safe as possible. Like Mr. Mills keeps pressing, is put the drop-off zones for the school buses in the development, at least get the buses off the road where they'll be safer. So I think you understand we're doing the best we can with each individual development as it comes along.
Absolutely, and we appreciate hearing that as well with the support. A little further down on Linbury, it's an industrial area. I'm not exactly sure what they do there, but they've cleared a lot of area for that. So that also keep in mind that brings tons of 18-wheeler tractor trailers up and down that road with the kids there as well.
Once again, nothing we can do anything about, but we
But just so
appreciate your concerns.
you understand that.
I will ask the commissioners, anybody have anything they'd like to say or question for this lady? Thank you again.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anybody else here like to speak against this project? Please give us your name. You can either be sworn or affirmed.
I have to be sworn. My name is Daniel Drell. My last name's Jarrell. I live at 11 Walden Lane with Miss Kimberly Drell.
Okay. Sir, could you raise that microphone a little bit? Right. So do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So as Ms. Drell was stating, where the kids stand now and where you guys are posing that they need a bus stop in the corner there, I 100% agree with that. If you're going to put that many houses, that many children, that many single families in there, you need to have a bus route in that development. Not just on the corner, that's not going to work. Our development right now, the roads are so wide that if a car parks on each strand, you're not getting a bus down it. It's not possible. I work for the state of Delaware. I work with Fleet Services. My job is to deal with Governor Carney's personal task force and the state police. I've reached out to the chief of police in Cheswell and asked him that can he please start putting an officer on the corner there. And I've gotten brushed off a couple times until I've made some connections, and all of a sudden there's state police sitting there. That traffic that's going up and down that way is getting dangerous. Doesn't matter if it's for a child or adult. People are flying up and down that road, and like my wife stated, it used to be a PP&G plant right there in the corner. Now it's aluminum fences and PVC fences. There's truck trailers coming up and down that corner and flying every single day. I notice it, and I've reached out the best I can to law enforcement to get somebody out there. Putting all those houses in there, you're just creating more problems, because not only do you have our road coming out right there at Walden Lane, but now you have another road right there. So you have children standing in between two roads and Linbury Road. You're asking to get somebody hurt if there's not proposes to get bus routes inside that development, unlike ours, because we can't. That's the only thing I have to say. I'm more worried about the kids than the traffic, than the other people coming in there, because it's only going to take one kid getting hit by a car before there's a lawsuit, and then there's a bigger problem because no one stood up and said, we need to do something about the roads in the development. Not Linbury, not Messina Hill, but the roads in the development that we all approved to have built. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any question for this gentleman? Once again, I thank you very much for your presentation. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak against this development that had anything that has not been touched or said? Is there anybody on the phone that would like to say anything against this development? You still have the right to come up, ma'am, if you want to.
Due to technical difficulties, we don't have anyone online at this time.
I think before you start, ma'am, Mr. Davis you want to ask Sarah or the attorney?
I'd just like to ask the people that's testifying, I'm really curious about this because we recommend they do this. Has this developer had a meeting with you people to explain what they're doing? And so we've always asked if they meet and discuss the issues that we're talking about tonight, because normally when that does occur, sometimes there's an agreement made and you don't have to come out at nighttime because it's been taken care of. So if he's not had that meeting with this group, I'd like for you to raise your hand. That's very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, come on up to the microphone, give us your name, pull the mic to you, and your address.
Judith Desbro, 240 Norton Circle, Dover 19904.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Unlike everybody else who is happy to have the development there, I'm not. I'm against it. The roads are 2-lane and it's going to be a lot more traffic. The lighting is poor. There's needs to be a traffic lights at a couple of spots. Messina Hill and Linbury Woods, and people trying to get in and out of the development on 13. There have been a lot of wrecks there. My concern, aside from that, and aside from the fact that I just don't want another development eating up more farmland, as we're losing so much in Kent County with so much growth, is I think that y'all are for a third entrance where that pond is. Is that what I was understanding with the waiver, that y'all wanted a third connector?
Could you get a little closer to the mic, ma'am? You're not very clear. What'd you say?
Sorry. Is it my understanding that y'all are for a third connector where that pond is on the west side of the development?
Well, we're
There was a waiver?
going to be deciding that after we hear testimony and all tonight, and you'll hear that next week, what we've decided.
Okay, I'm against that as it's farm wetland and connecting the stream that's there. I'm just against that. I'm not for development in general. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you for your presentation. Anybody have any questions for this young lady? Thanks again.
And thanks for calling me a young lady. I appreciate that.
I understand, Mark, you don't have a phone connection, so we're all good. If everybody's done in here, there's nobody else against this project, then we'll be taking this project up next week. Thank you all for your presentation. Thank you. If you have any more things you want to say, you can do it through Sarah, through communications by Monday evening. We're now down to any other public comment. Does anybody like to speak? Oh, excuse me, we got the ordinance to do yet. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm not used to being here this long. You got to understand that. Next is the ordinance for parking on LC 24-24. Basically, it's the ordinance removes parking standards from Chapter 205 zoning, creates a new Chapter 171 parking, eliminates minimum parking standards, and revises the parking lot landscaping and buffer requirements. You have the floor, young lady. It's a new attorney. He's got me so upset. That's what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very simply, the two primary things this ordinance does is eliminates minimum parking standards. If you look in the zoning ordinance now, for all kinds of uses, there are a minimum number of parking spaces. There is nothing scientific about those numbers. They are entirely arbitrary, and very often do not adequately suit development projects. We actually see them impacting more often than not small businesses. And it's becoming a trend across the country to eliminate parking minimums altogether and just let the market determine. The other really substantial change is currently in the parking regulations, you've seen on endless development plans, parking islands, planting islands within parking lots. The development community has always been opposed to them because it makes it more difficult for the parking lots to be maintained. It also doesn't always yield, for the landscaping that is installed in those islands, it doesn't always yield the best outcome. So what we've tried to do with this revision is still have a formula for landscaping, right? We still want to have the trees and we still want to have the buffers, but rather than requiring the planting islands, we would allow a designer to effectively propose the best design per each site. There's some other small revisions within, but those are the two primary changes that I think will bring an improvement to developments we see. And again, it does pull it out of the zoning ordinance, makes it its own chapter. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
The only question I have is, does it affect any events in the county, like when GNR RV has a, some kind of development, something there, or like the Delaware State Fair when we park? Does it affect any of these venues throughout the county that might have entertainment?
Not at all. I mean, what this is very much doing is the county saying, you as a property owner or a developer, you tell us what you need to accommodate. Don't park on the highways, right? Don't break state law. You tell us what you need. You demonstrate to us what you need, and we'll move forward with that.
Any commissioners have any questions for Sarah? Seeing none, I will ask, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this application? Oh, I guess we're going to have an engineer's conversation.
I can't resist.
Am I correct? Go ahead and give us your name,
Mike
please.
Ryman, Becker Morgan Group, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware.
Go right ahead, Mr. Ryman.
Am I still good? Okay. I wanted to speak ecstatically about this. As an engineer who's worked in this county for 23 years, designed a lot of parking lots in this county, and has felt the difficulties trying to accommodate some of these requirements. We think this is a long overdue change that will provide some flexibility in design. I don't think it'll detract from the intent of landscaping and those kinds of things that we need. But I found myself over the years trying to make these islands work within a parking lot and adding islands in really odd locations because the code says every 8 spaces or 10 spaces you have to have one. Well, God forbid you got a row of 12 spaces or a row of, then you got these 2 spaces at the end. And from a drainage perspective too, the islands create lots of drainage problems, especially with the island between the dual rows of parking. You're adding a lot more catch basins, a lot more storm drain, a lot more grading challenges, a lot more drainage problems, and really just an inefficient design. I think, with a little bit more flexibility, we can probably produce a lot better designs without detracting from the overall goal of landscaping. So fully support it and want to thank the county for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Mr. Servon, did you have a question for him or just a comment?
For him.
Okay, go ahead.
As a parking lot professional, do you think this will result in more spaces or less spaces?
I think it's going to vary based on the user. I mean, to Sarah's point, I've seen situations, just to give you some examples, the EMS project that's for the county that we're doing. The code said we had to have 6 or 7 parking spaces for that EMS facility, the one in Harrington and then the one in Frederica, specifically the one in Frederica. The EMS folks don't need that many parking spaces, but the code says that's what we need. They know exactly what they need. They have this many employees, this many people, they're going to be there during these times. But as another example of that, convenience stores, for example, the Wawas, the Royal Farms, the code is very low. And in fact, they want more spaces than that because they know that's what they need. Multifamily facilities know very well what they need. And, we run into situations where, for multifamily specifically, you'll see codes that are, I don't know what the county's is on multifamily, Sarah, but I've seen 2.5 in some places, 2.25. They need 1.75. They know exactly what they need to facilitate their tenants. It's not the developer trying to get out of anything. In fact, the developer wants to make sure they have parking for their tenants. I mean, you wouldn't want to rent an apartment if you don't have a place to park right outside your home. You're not going to rent there. You're going to go somewhere else where they provide parking. So, at the end of the day, the end user needs to have the parking that's demanded by the end tenant, whether it's a residential tenant or whether it's a shopping center that has a particular restaurant or a user. I see deals all the time, and it's very clear if let's just say it's a retail tenant of some kind, a restaurant, it's right there. We need this many parking spaces to make our facility work. They know exactly what they need, regardless of what the code says. So I think you'll see an up and down.
And do you think it'll make it easier for snowplows?
Absolutely. I should have pointed that out. I feel bad that I missed that one. That is a great point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments as far as for this? I'll go to the against side. Is there anyone here that's against this particular ordinance? Anyone here? I guess the phone's still not working. Anyone here against this particular ordinance? Having said that, we'll be taking this ordinance up next week. Thank you all for coming. Now we're down to public comment. Any other public comment here left? Seeing none, commission comments. Oh, you got a public comment?
Wondering if you allow me on your first
okay,
thing
pull
that you
the mic
tabled.
up. Pull the mic up to you. Do they need to be sworn in for public comment? Do they need to be sworn in for public comment?
No, because I don't think we're going to be getting testimony
Okay.
on a.
He could give us his
pending
name and
plan.
address, though.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, sir. My name's Clarence Spencer Jr. Address is 121 Sheffield Drive, Dover. But I also have property at 2801 Forge Corner Road, dealing with the cell tower. I know you tabled it for next month. I was wondering if you'd allow me 5 minutes. I work in New Jersey. I will not be able to attend the next meeting. I don't need to hear the company. I would just like to address my public officials.
What's our attorney say?
So, sir, you're saying you'd like to provide testimony on an application that got tabled tonight and will be heard a month from now? Is that right?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to make a couple comments to the
Right. So I'm I'm afraid it's the hearing process is a very important process, and not only is it important for us to hear your comments, it's important for the applicant to hear your comments. It's important for other members of the audience to hear your comments.
They won't get that next month.
Pardon me?
They won't get that next month.
So there are two methods that you can have your comments heard. One would be to put them in writing. This board will receive written comments and will review them. This commission will review them in preparation for a hearing or a decision. So you will have an opportunity to be heard in that fashion. And you can also, now tonight's not a great example because we've had some technical difficulties, but you will be able next month to offer your testimony over the airwaves.
I understand that, sir. I took off work to be here.
I'm sorry?
I took off work to be here. I'm just asking you to hear two things I got to say, and you can ask the company. For me, or anyway, this is a Kent County thing. That's a Kent County tower they want to put in. I just have two questions that you guys might address the company. That's all I want. I'm just asking for 2 minutes for you guys to listen.
So I've indicated to you that you can put your
write it down.
comments in writing. You can call the planning office
But you can't take 2 minutes just to hear what I have to say?
Well,
Question?
because the
Just
reason...
a question, isn't my testimony?
It has nothing to do with being disinterested in what you have to say, and I'm sorry that you're here. You're like an innocent victim of what's happened. We recognize that you've made an effort to be here tonight.
Yeah, just found out today
Right.
that we're even having a meeting.
And it's unfortunate that for reasons out of our control, we weren't able to conduct that hearing. But having said that, if you want to participate in the hearing, it has to be through one of the methods that I've outlined for you. It's going to be either a written comment, or you're going to have to communicate with the planning office in between the meeting, or participate online a month from now. Those are your options. We can't take testimony at this point in time.
It's not testimony. I was just simply wondering why there's thousands of acres right behind his. Power lines go through thousands on both sides of Mr. Smith's property. And they want to put the tower 2,000 feet from my property and 1,000 feet off the road, just because there used to be a house there and it's got closest electrical access. Thousands of acres behind it. Nobody would notice.
Sir, I think your comment.
What you just said was what you just said wasn't that. You could write down what you just said and submit it to us, and we will ask that question for you. I don't think that you're right. It took 2 minutes. It took actually a much less to say what you were just trying to say. So if you would please write that down and see that Sarah gets it, we will all get it, and we will make sure we ask that question for you. Right. You will not have wasted your time coming tonight. You will have wasted your time coming tonight if you don't write it down. And I assure you that if you write it down and it comes to any one of us, we will make sure that we ask that question for you. You have your name on it, and we'll say that so-and-so wanted this question asked, and on his behalf, we're going to ask it.
Okay.
So please do that for us.
Thank you very much, sir, for being interested, and we just ask you to go by the rules and regulations.
I just was wondering if you clarify, before he cut off, did he say they were going to put a diesel generator?
Sir, once again, you're asking a question. We can't answer. You'll just have to submit it.
I didn't know if anybody else heard it.
In further support, these proceedings, these public hearings create a record. And if you want your comments to be considered, they have to be made part of the record, and we can't incorporate comments that you're making now into the record. So if you would, please do your best to utilize one of the methods for communicating your
I'm
concern.
sorry,
I'm sorry you're frustrated. It's understandable.
My
It's
chance
not.
to see my public officials, I just wanted to let them know how I felt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. We're down to commission comments. I think Mr. Davis had one.
Yeah, my wife and I went through quite a tragedy. Justine and I, we lost our son, Dr. Kuhn. I guess it's been a month ago. And My wife, I've kind of got a hold of it, but he was my stepson. But I got married to Justine when he was 10, so I really considered him my son. And he became a veterinarian down in Milford, was the owner of the Haven Lake Animal Hospital. Unfortunately, he had a issue deep sea diving with a party of 6 in the ocean, and he passed away. So we don't have the details, but I want to thank the commission. Even if you're sick or you're in the hospital or you have death in your family like we did, you don't know what it means to us to have that happen, that somebody thinks about you and sends you a card. And I think the commission was the second group that either, I can't remember whether it was a fruit basket or flowers, because we got so many calls and so many things coming to the house. We had to shut the phones off because we know a lot of people, my wife and I do. But I wanted to thank you for that, because that's what people do that are friends, and I consider each one of you my friend, even though I disagree sometimes, and you know I will say what's on my mind. But when I leave the dais, you're still my friend. I just say what's on my mind. But I sincerely, and Justine and I sincerely thank you, because, and we also got a card from the county administrator and a lot of the county employees. I guess I've been around the county a long time. I started out with the Board of Appeals back in, I'm going to say 87. And I was on that for a long time. And so I've been around the county a long time, planning commission, levy court. And I just wanted you to know what that meant to my wife and I. And we'll never forget how thoughtful you were. And I thank you so much. And I know Sarah helped put that together. And I thank you so much, Sarah. I know sometimes we have our difference of opinion, but I still love you. You're a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I think we're all still keeping you and your wife in our prayers, because we know it's just it's a terrible situation to lose a child. So thank you all. Knowing no other business before the commission, is there any other business? Seeing none, I'll then entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Sarah, call the commission, please.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Servan?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Galvary?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir, John.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to adjourn. We'll see you all next week.